I would say if you're going to own Bitcoin, you need a 4-year or longer time horizon. If you're going to own amplified Bitcoin, a company that aims to be more volatile than Bitcoin, you can't have a lower time horizon. So you probably need a longer time horizon. So we manage the company such that we think 10 years from now, we're going to create an insane amount of shareholder value. And that doesn't mean we're looking for 10-year payoffs. We're generally thinking if it doesn't return what we expected within 4 years, we'd be very disappointed. But we never do anything where we demand to get the payback in 4 months. And so we don't have a 4-month time horizon or even a year time horizon. And we think that generally, I would say if your time horizon is 12 weeks, you should own the STRC, right? You really should go to the short end of the risk curve and the short end of the duration curve, because that one we're trying to strip volatility away. And if your time horizon is 10 years, and if you are Bitcoin maxi, then maybe you like the equity or you like Bitcoin.
Welcome back to the channel. Aaron here from the Bitcoin Bros, coming back at you with another video here today. And you just saw that clip that was from the strategy earnings call yesterday. That was Michael Saylor talking about what your time horizon should be if you're investing in STRC, MSTR, or Bitcoin. And that's what we've been telling you guys on this channel. A lot of you guys have been very disappointed in the MSTR price action this year. But if you're an investor in MSTR, you're going to have a long-term time horizon, not just a couple months, not just a year. You're investing for gains that will come hopefully 5-10 years down the road. And that's what Saylor kind of explained in that clip right there. And that's kind of what we've been trying to tell you guys since we've been making these videos on our channel about how we are investing in Bitcoin and strategies. We have a long-term vision on where we think Bitcoin will be 5-10 years from now and where strategy will be. So that is our thoughts. But to kind of summarize the earnings call yesterday, there was a good tweet here from Matt Cole over on Twitter. You can just kind of go through this and see everything that was the main points that were talked about in the earnings call. So right now, MSTR is guided to 30% application. They want all that debt to come from the preferreds with no leverage from the converts or other debt. So they're thinking it's going to take a couple of years to reach that goal. And that's just letting the converts basically convert into equity. That's going to happen by 2029, as you can see right here. And then they talk about the tax deferred return of capital, the ROC, from the preferred. So basically these preferreds are different than a high yield savings account because you're getting 10% with STRC, and that is going to be tax free. And they expect these ROC dividends to continue for about 10 years with multiple options to preserve ROC, even if the MNAV falls below 1. And the next bullet point here talks about how they want the preferreds to go international. And this was the tab that Fong Lee shared here. So right now they've raised over $6 billion, and that's all been in the US. And they're looking to target Europe and Canada next, and then potentially go out to other international countries and places to sell these preferred products, as you can see right here in this slide. So the next phase for strategy is to get an offering in Europe and in Canada. Just go back here to summary. They're not focused on merger and acquisition of other Bitcoin treasury companies. They didn't rule it out entirely, but they are really focused on digital credit, the preferred offerings. And then he talks about the time horizon clip that I just showed you guys here in the beginning. Oh, and there's a clip at the end. You guys definitely want to stay around to the end to check that one out. That's definitely a good clip from Saylor. And then this last bullet point here says they don't want to maximize capital by raising it through other equity or debt. They want to focus on the digital credit market, i.e. the preferreds. They can idle at 30% growth when there aren't attractive opportunities, then amplify growth further with those opportunities emerge through digital credit. So they're really focused on digital credit. That's what most of the earnings call was about. So that is just to summarize the earnings call. Definitely go, and if you know, I highly recommend you guys go check it out for yourself. And then wanted to just share this with you guys. Check out STRC here. It is now above that $99 price point where strategy can now tap the ATM and use some of the funds that have been allocated to STRC to buy Bitcoin. They want to keep this between $99 and $101. And now we're seeing that it's now above the $99 price point. And you can see the average trading volume over the past 30 days is $68 million, which is really good to see. The market just opened an hour and a half ago, and it's already at $55 million of actively traded volume. So STRC is looking really good so far. And the reason why, we've been so excited about STRC on our channel, if you compare this average trading volume of the past 30 days at around $70 million, and you compare that to Strife, you can see Strife's only 16 million, STRK, Strike is only around 18 million, and STRD is only around 12 million. So STRC is having more volume just with this one product than the other three combined. So we could see a lot of Bitcoin buying coming from the STRC product potentially. So that is something you have to pay attention to there. And then there's a tweet here from Mark Harvey. Definitely agreed with this. So just wanted to kind of share it with you guys. The MSTR sentiment is at an all-time low. MSTR has underperformed Bitcoin year to date, and we'll check out that in a minute. The MNAV does keep trending lower. And it's not just with strategies, with Metaplanet and other Bitcoin treasury companies. Management did fumble on the MNAV guidance. They came out and said, hey, we're not going to tap the MSTR ATM until it's above 2.5. And they kind of took that back. So that gave some investors some does this team actually know what they're doing? So I think shareholder confidence could have definitely been hurt by that. And then BTC might be nearing the end of its bull cycle run. This is why I think all this really makes sense. You're seeing compressed MNAVs is the 4-year cycle has played out over the past 3 cycles for Bitcoin, where it's peaked in the end of 2021, the end of 2017, and the end of 2013. And now people are expecting Bitcoin to peak at the end of 2025. So when you look out a year from now, most people are thinking that Bitcoin is going to be lower than where it is today. So we're seeing those MNAVs compress most likely because of that. And that's why we're seeing Bitcoin struggle to perform here in Q4, because people believe that the cycle may be over or it's going to be over very soon. And, we've kind of been 60-40 on this. We do believe, if you look at the data and you look at the technicals and, lowering of interest rates, we do believe that this cycle could definitely be elongated, especially with introducing the Bitcoin ETFs just a year and a half ago. So we do believe that this cycle could go longer, but the 4-year cycle could also play out. So even for myself, I have hedged around 5 to 10% of my personal portfolio in case the 4-year cycle does play out again, just to make sure I have some dry powder to buy Bitcoin next year, to buy strategy next year if we are going to bottom a year from now. So that is something that you should, prepare for, because it could definitely happen. But nobody has a crystal ball, but I don't think right now is the time to be going all in on strategy or all in on Bitcoin or going out on margin and taking call options. That's just my opinion. That is not financial advice. And before we get into the rest of the video here, I want to share this with you guys because you can get a free $100 from iTrust Capital when you sign up with them. They have a new PCA account that they launched earlier in the year. And basically what this is institutional custody. It's just how Strategy holds their Bitcoin, but you can do it yourself through iTrust Capital. And they set up their security in a way that your account cannot be drained. We've seen a lot of, crypto exchanges get hacked over the past couple of years, and people lose all of their money, especially if they just have all their money on a crypto exchange. But with the PCA custody account, they have made it so that your account cannot be drained. They really set up the security a lot different than a lot of the other crypto exchanges. And if you have your crypto on an exchange, or if you have it in cold storage, and that's the only way that you're holding your crypto or your Bitcoin, you may want to diversify a little bit. That's why I recommend you guys checking out iTrust Capital, especially since they're going to give you guys a free $100 just for signing up. And they also have their IRA account. That's their traditional Roth and SEP. So if you have a 401k or if you have a retirement account that you're looking to roll over into Bitcoin, you can do that with iTrust Capital. The link for that will be in the description below and also the comment section. So check that out if you guys want to. Basically giving you guys a $100 funding bonus for signing up. But let's get back to the video here, looking at where Strategy is in the top market cap companies in the US. They're currently coming in at 135, up around 7% here on the day. Strategy's at around $272, still below that $300 price point. And, it's good to see that Strategy has been climbing back up the list here at 135. And then I wanted to share this with you guys. A lot of people are disappointed in the Strategy price action, but what's happened this year has not been any different than what we've seen in the past for Strategy. So just for an example here, guys, if you look back here in March of 2024, Strategy peaked out at around $200, and then it dropped around 50%. And then if you bought that 50% dip on strategy went back up another 70%. And then after that 70% move, strategy dropped another 30%. And it goes on like that. Another move here in 2024 where it went up 50% and then it dropped another, 50%. So what we've seen this year is not anything out of the normal. We've seen this from strategy over the years now. And if you take that blast off top that we had back in November all the way to the bottom of what we saw this year, that was a 56% drop. But if you bought that bottom, to the top of what we've seen, a local top here earlier in the year, you were up around 100%. And then if you bought that top here, you would be down around 44%. So I'm just illustrating this just to show you guys that MSTR is a very volatile product. It's going to go like this. It's going to go up and down, but hopefully over time, it's going to go up and to the right. And these dips, in my opinion, are buying opportunities. Could we go into a Bitcoin bear market where Bitcoin is going to trade down 50%? Into next year? Definitely. If that happens, you're going to want to buy the dip. Bitcoin will come back eventually. That's what we've seen over history. And we believe that Bitcoin will be the biggest asset in the world at one point. It will get there eventually. So you want to buy any of these dips if you can afford to. Not going all in on leverage, not doing call options to the end of the year because you think strategy is going to be $500. But these dips right now are opportunities. When there's negative sentiment in the market, that's when you want to buy into the market, not up here when everybody's talking about it. That is not when you want to get in because you're never going to make money doing that. And you're always going to be buying the Pico top when there's hype around stocks, any stock. This goes for strategy, NVIDIA, any other stock that you're looking at investing in or any crypto that you're looking at investing in. And I wanted to overlay Bitcoin here just to show you guys strategy since 2020 is still massively outperforming BTC. As we can see, if we just take, March of 2020, strategy is up 3,000%, whereas Bitcoin is up 1,600%. So strategy is still outperforming Bitcoin over the past 5 years. And then we can kind of, zoom in here, even over since 2022, strategy is still outperforming. Since 2023, strategy is still outperforming. Since 2024, strategy is still outperforming Bitcoin. Now, if we get into this year, this is where we start to see Bitcoin outperform strategy because strategy has not had a good year at all. And you can start to see, Bitcoin go up while strategy has not kept up with BTC. So this may be an indicator that, hey, maybe this may be a great time to buy the dip for strategy. But I'm just showing you guys this because I think a lot of you guys may have bought strategy this year or maybe late last year, and you're down in your position and you're not thinking that strategy is ever going to come back. But there are going to be periods of times where Bitcoin outperforms strategy, especially if we go into a bear market. I believe that Bitcoin is going to outperform strategy. So something to keep in mind there. And then to get into the Bitcoin ETFs, over the past 2 days, just massive outflows from the Bitcoin ETFs. If this keeps up, Bitcoin's price is going to continue to go down. We got $1 billion of outflow over the past 2 days. And I think the market is just uncertain right now. We didn't get the jobs numbers from September and early October. The government is still shut down. It's not looking like we're going to get the jobs numbers from October and early November. And I think the market is very fearful right now, especially with all the layoffs that we're seeing from Amazon, from Intel, from a lot of different companies, Meta. And what's really crazy is Amazon stock shot up on their earnings, but they are looking to lay off a lot of people. That's the AI effect that's playing in there. So people are thinking that the traditional markets aren't going to be doing too well for the next year or so. So I think that's where we're starting to see some uncertainty and some people selling out of the Bitcoin ETFs. But we'll continue to monitor the Bitcoin ETFs as those numbers come out. And then also just some pretty good news here from Coinbase. They bought 2,772 Bitcoin in Q3, and they're going to continue to buy more BTC. So that is good to see there from Coinbase. And that's really all I had for today's video. I hope you found some value. If you did, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe. We have new content coming out every single day. And I have a clip here from Strategy's earnings call. You definitely want to make sure to check out this one. Saylor talking about where he envisions strategy going over the next couple of years. So let's go ahead and check that out. Appreciate you watching all the way to the end, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.
We want to be the revolutionary company that discovered digital capital, that then went on to discover and found the digital credit market And, when you're just rolling a bunch of 5 to 7 year bonds, and when you're opportunistic, then, you're careening toward the future with an advantage. I want MSTR to stand for monster. We want to create a monster company. We don't want to careen toward the future with an advantage. We don't want to be the talented fighter, that kind of wins and loses and mostly wins and is a little bit sloppy and undisciplined. We want to create the digital credit instruments that are 2 to 4 times better than everything in the $300 trillion market. And we want to eat the world, right? And we want to sell $100 billion of them. And after we sell 10 billion, then 20 billion, then 40 billion, then 80 billion. When people go, well, aren't you levered? We want to say, well, actually our leverage is 0. Huh? What? Wait, what? We have 30% amplification, but we don't have 100 billion of debt. We have 100 billion of equity that happens to actually amplify the common equity. Let me educate you on a new way to build a company.